America loves polygamy. America loves polygamy. So the United States, I think the best way to describe imperialism to people is to think of it like polygamy. So the U.S. as an institution, as a government, the ruling elite, the owners of our economy, think of them as the husband. Think of you, the citizen, as a sister wife. And in the beginning, there was maybe one or two of you, right? Just citizens. Now, disclaimer, there were problems. We had human trafficking 200 years ago, right? We had people that were subjugated to different set of laws based on the color of their skin. So I have to disclaimer that, especially, in February, we're going to put that disclaimer out there. But for the point of this analogy, let's focus on the general relationship between the U.S. and its people. So the United States is the husband, and the citizens are the sister wives. And in the beginning, there's one wife, two wives, just Americans, right? It's all Americans. The government, the ruling class, and the people. And then what happens is over time, there's diminishing returns on the relationship from the perspective of the husband, America. America starts to look at its citizens, not as attractive. You guys want a lot of stuff, You want limited working hours, and you want health care, and all. And you know what? All these institutions that around us, they're all capitalists. They want to make money, right? These husbands, they want returns. And yeah, you gave us some kids and all that, but we're not getting bang for our buck, according to the leaders and the rulers. So what do? They embrace polygamy. They go out and they marry other countries, by force sometimes, but they marry other countries for various circumstances. So what are these other sister wives that they marry? Well, they marry Korea, they marry Vietnam, they marry China. They marry many other places. They try to marry like places in Latin America. They tried Cuba. They lost Cuba, unfortunately, for them, trying to get it back. Venezuela. What African countries, right? But we'll just focus on America right now. So all of these countries that they go out and they try to marry, some of them have totally different political ideologies. So a lot of these other sister wives are communists and socialists, and they come from families that had very different ideas about social life. But they agree to polygamy because there's an exchange that they get. Meanwhile, the American sister wife is getting frustrated because the American sister wives are sitting here saying, well, what's wrong with us? Well, what's wrong is in these other countries, America, the husband, was able to produce many more children. Lots of stuff for cheap. And with high quantity, there was less commitment. Suddenly, America, the institution, the empire, was able to go to these other wives, and if it spent 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, half a father, quarter of a father to the children, it didn't matter. They were happy for what they got because those places were in a different position and had a different structure, different situation. Meanwhile, the American sister wives become even more angry. Well, wait, why are my jobs going overseas? Why is my dollar depreciating? What is going on here? Cost of living goes up. Well, hey, you're not going to get more out of me, the relationship, but I'll give you some stuff. Like we went out, since there's 10 sister wives now, we have multiple houses, multiple cars. But then here's the problem. None of those houses and none of those cars are in the name of the American. So the American sister wife is realizing that they live in a world where they have things, but they don't own it. You'll own nothing and love it, right? Because only the husband, only America, the empire, owns the assets. Only America, the empire, benefits from the action of the government. Meanwhile, the American sister wife is sitting there with nothing. They just live in the environment. And now the American empire is becoming aggressive and antagonistic towards the American sister wife. Suddenly, the American sister wife doesn't look as good. Maybe he's a little older, needs some repairs. need some infrastructure rebuild. But the American empire doesn't want to help. The American empire can't divorce because of, well, just the nature of the system, plus not truly married anyway, because polygamy is not legal, but, well, we don't worry about that. In most places, at least. But the American empire, the American husband, simply becomes annoyed. You want too much. You ask for too much. And suddenly doesn't want to spend any time on the American. Let the educational system go to hell. Let the housing market go to hell. Let the healthcare system go to hell. Let the roads, let the bridges, let safety, let social structures go to hell. So that the American empire, the husband, can focus on its true love, which is everybody else. That, my friends, my comrades, my brothers, my sisters, that is the relationship between you and your country. And sadly, this relationship gets a little worse, because when the American empire, the husband, wants you to do something, when the American empire, the husband, wants you to help go and hurt other people to take out other husbands so that it can acquire the sister wives, they demand your loyalty and respect. They demand you continue to cook, clean, care, to help prop up the system. Buy when you can't afford to buy. And in return, you'll get very, very little. This is the relationship that we're stuck with. This is why being involved in partisan politics won't fix it. Our government, even though it's not legal in most places, our government is in love with polygamy. And if you haven't figured it out yet, polygamy is imperialism. And imperialism is the highest stage of this little thing called capitalism. And as other countries realize what we're doing and know how to stop it, it is going to then put us in a dark spot and then potentially give opportunity for us to rebuild here, because people are fighting back against this. So if you want to slow down how you're losing assets, how you're losing control, you have to help slow down imperialism, to force our country to focus on itself, focus on its original wife, you. Go from polygamy to monogamy again. Let's get this thing back on track. Thank you, everybody.